People are stepping on it, and it's looking a little grungy. All right. So the next time you see this, it'll be in this room, in this position, and we're going to be rolling it with it, right? So the rebel line is coming down again from that side, and they're going through this whole thing, and they're going to end right at this point. When you're coming in here, you have hopefully a base plate. Right? I suppose I've passed them all out. You have a base plate with your designs that are going to be mounted onto your base plate. So as soon as the base plate goes down, you can do a little more tweaking of kind of where it's at, but really the base plate should fit exactly where it's going to be. Then we bolt the base plate down, and then you can, if there's any little tweaking you can do. What you see right here along this back line is what we had previously for how to connect to your sensors. And what we had here, it says here, like for this first one, this is ultrasonic sensor 1, and one of these would be transmit, and one of those would be receive. You don't have to worry about powering the ultrasonic sensor. We'll provide the power for all the sensors on here. You don't think of power. All you care about is transmit and receive, right? So when you play with an ultrasonic sensor, there's 2 pins that you got there. That one is, to set out the pulses, and the other one's receiving the pulses back. So it's going to be, for each one of them, there's going to be 2 wires, and we'll label them as transmit, receive. And then, like with this one, it said ultrasonic sensor 1. That was the first one right beyond that, on this side, right, that first corridor. That's ultrasonic sensor 1, and then that was 2, and then it goes through in the order of as you trigger, or as it has to go through the whole desk slab. So all you need to do is when you hook up your Arduino to this, you need to transmit and receive, and you're taking these 2 wires and plugging it into your board for where your Arduino needs to see transmit and receive for 1. If you're doing all 8, well, yeah, you should have 8 ports. So if you just want to do 2 of them, or you have certain ones you like and certain ones you don't like, well, you have that option. Right? Some people wanted to just do that corner. Some people definitely wanted to do this one. That's number 8, because that's the last one, and that's the dead shot right there. And that's this one, ultrasonic sensor number 8. That's where this is the one you wired up to. Now, the difference between what you're going to see between right now and what you're going to see, because I'm going to be here tonight, tomorrow, next week. All these wires we're trying to clean up so they go away, and you have an easier time of wiring up to the ultrasonic sensors. We have definitely the 8 ultrasonic sensors that are in the same positions as they were before. We won't use the line barrier ones because they were really problematic. So definitely 8 ultrasonic sensors and in those positions. And you just worry about when you come in here, we'll supply the power to you. Power is normally supplied by, for this is to plug into your Arduino. You got that. And I think we even had a power supply line. It's a little different. We had another power supply line right now hidden underneath here for 9 volts. If you need 9 volts. Or actually, we could give you many things that were, if you wanted anything between 5 and 9, we could do that too. But we gave you the power to it. As well. We had power supply sitting right over there. Okay. So what you prepare for when you come up is, again, you have whatever launchers you've got here. Maybe it's all 4. Maybe you're shooting, 2 big launchers, 2 there and 2 here. I don't know how you're doing it, but be prepared for plugging into the ultrasonic sensors from these ports over here. But these are going to change because these were tough to screw in. We're going to do vertical ones that are easier to plug into. Okay. So that's really the thing that you're preparing for is, the interfacing to the desk lab is through these lines. Power is given to you. Power for those things given to you. It's just the transmit and receive ones that you need to get.
Question about these. Do you have to assign a PIN number and the Arduino code? Or?
You have to figure out your PIN numbers on Arduino code to which.
So we have to choose which sensor we want to use ahead of time.
You figure out if you're saying I want ultrasonic sensor number 1 to be on pin 7-8. Well, you wire it.
Oh, okay.
You wire at this point 7-8
okay.
on your board. Now the one thing that I was telling, we were just discussing this before. That's why I grabbed everybody else. Again, I can do this today. You're not supposed to do this. But let's say we have a rebels coming down this way. And they hit this corner right here. The first ping sensor, ultrasonic 1, tags them right here. Normally, this ultrasonic sensor is going to give that distance static all the time, right? It's going right against the wall. If they come down here, suddenly you're going to see a number that's not that number, right? It'll be less than that number. And when they hit here, then you could say, okay, well, if it's less than that number, then fire. You may not want to fire at this point. You may want to actually even delay it or time it in just a way that you think that they're going to be over here, and then you actually fire over at this point. So when it triggers the sensor, you actually are firing at that point rather than exactly where you see it. So you have to plan for that. Now, some of the Rebel Alliance are going to take this thing nice and even and slow, and that'll be fine. Some of them may come by the wall. I'm knowing that one group is trying to go by the wall. Some of them are going to go really fast through this. They're just going to try to blitz by you. You're going to have a tough time for these things for those type of fast ones. But if they're really up close, then you plan for that. That there's like if there's one that's aiming right at the last bit, just plan for that last little corner and aim right at it. Try to nail it there. But there are going to be some that are going really fast. Let me just tell you that. Yeah.
Some of the robots are fairly small, about 4 or 5 inches wide. Is that right?
Yeah. I know.
If they hug that wall, will they still trigger that sensor?
They probably will trigger the sensor. Yeah. Even if it's 5 inches out. This thing it's not a narrow field of view. It actually kind of is wide. So it's actually about that wide.
Okay.
It'll still trigger it.
Good.
Now, some people just ask, well, what happens if I trigger it right here, my sensor, and then wait until they're about here, and I can actually calculate, since I know this distance between these 2 points and the time it'll take there, I can actually find out their speed that way. You could. It's tricky. You could do it, but I'm not recommending you do. I mean, don't go advanced just yet. Just simply trigger, shoot. That would be easier in life. You can do it where they trigger here, and then the next time they trigger, like on that sensor, you say, all right, what was the distance between, straight down the line between here and here? And yeah, that could give you a rough idea of their speed. But even then, if it's just like trigger, shoot, I think you have a better chance of nailing them. Does that make sense? What's happened last year is many people were coming around this corner, and they were going for this, because this is the farthest one away. As soon as this comes around here, they were actually aiming about here for the last semester's Empire, and they would shoot there, and they were nailing it. That was a good call. But then again, that was that one particular speed. If they go faster, you'll see. Yeah.
It can bounce first and still count as long as it doesn't rebound. Two bounces. Okay.
Two bounces. But you can't lay it down there and then let it roll down here and try to nail it that way. That's like doing a depth charge kind of thing.